What are you doing here? Jamal's voice sliced through the hushed air of the ornate church like a razor blade, sharp and unforgiving. The words hung heavy, echoing off the high-vaulted ceilings adorned with gold-trimmed frescoes. Louise sat there in her battered wheelchair, the one with squeaky wheels and faded armrests, wearing her best red dress, the one she'd sewn herself from discount fabric. She looked up at her son, eyes wide with a mix of surprise and raw hurt that twisted her weathered face. "Jamal, honey, I'm your mama," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, laced with that familiar southern drawl she'd never shaken off. "This is your big day. I had to be here." Jamal's face twisted in fury, his tailored tuxedo suddenly feeling too tight around his neck. "I told you not to come," he barked, louder now, his tone rising like a storm building. Heads turned all around them, the elite crowd in their designer gowns and sharp suits, sipping invisible champagne from the pre-ceremony buzz. Whispers rippled through the pews like wildfire. Tasha stood frozen at the altar, her stunning white gown shimmering under the chandelier lights, her family, powerful, moneyed folks from the Jenkins clan, shooting daggers with their eyes. The whole place went dead silent, the kind of quiet that screams tension. "Look at yourself," Jamal spat, pointing a manicured finger right at her, his Rolex glinting under the stained glass windows. "That rusty wheelchair you're glued to. You can't even stand up on your own. You don't belong here with these people. These are influencers, CEOs, folks who run the city. Just leave." His words landed like sucker punches, each one knocking the wind out of Louise. Her chest tightened, heart pounding as if it might shatter right there. This was the same boy she'd rocked to sleep through nightmares. The kid she'd scraped together pennies for school lunches. Now he was treating her like trash on the sidewalk. Guests shifted uncomfortably, some gasping outright. A few pulled out their phones, thumbs hovering over record buttons. "You're making a scene," Jamal hissed, his cheeks flushing red with a cocktail of anger and deep-seated shame. "You're embarrassing me in front of everyone. Go back to your little house and stop screwing up my perfect wedding." He glanced toward Tasha, whose expression had shifted from bridal glow to outright horror, her manicured hands clenched at her sides. Tears pricked at Louise's eyes, hot and stinging, but she bit them back. No way she'd break down here. She straightened her spine as best she could in that chair, drawing on the quiet strength that had carried her through worse storms. "I love you, baby," she murmured, her voice steady despite the quake inside. But her words got swallowed in the awkward rustle of the crowd, the shuffling feet, and muffled coughs. With a deep breath, Louise gripped the wheels and turned her chair around. The squeak of the tires on the polished marble floor was deafening in the silence, like nails on a chalkboard. Every push forward felt like dragging a weight, her arms aching from the effort, but she kept her head high. Phones were out now, blatantly recording, some guests wide-eyed, others shaking their heads in disbelief. One man in the back row, a business associate of the Jenkins family, held his device steady, capturing every agonizing second of her exit. The wedding, supposed to be a fairy tale bash full of love and champagne toasts, had morphed into a nightmare sideshow. Laughter and joy, out the window. Now it was all cruelty and cold stares. As Louise rolled toward the massive oak doors, sunlight streaming through like a cruel spotlight, she felt the weight of hundreds of eyes boring into her back. Her red dress, once a symbol of her pride, now felt like a target. Jamal watched her go, his fists clenched at his sides, a knot twisting in his gut that he shoved down deep. He adjusted his tie, forcing a smile back onto his face as he strode back to the altar. Tasha met his eyes, her lips pressed thin, but she said nothing. Not yet. The priest cleared his throat, trying to regain control, but the damage was done. Whispers buzzed louder now. Did he really just... His own mom? That's cold, man. Outside, Louise paused in the parking lot, the fresh air hitting her like a slap. She let the tears come then, silent streams down her cheeks. A kind stranger, an older gentleman who'd slipped out after her, approached cautiously. "Ma'am, you all right?" he asked, his voice gentle amid the chaos. She wiped her face with the back of her hand, forcing a weak smile. "I'll be fine, sir. Just wanted to see my boy tie the knot." He shook his head, eyes full of pity. What he did in there, that's not right. Not by a long shot. Back inside, the ceremony lurched forward, but the vibe was wrecked. People fidgeted, phones buzzing with notifications as that video started pinging around social media. Jamal exchanged vows with Tasha, but his mind raced. Had he gone too far? Nah, he told himself, shaking it off. This was his day, his shot at the big leagues. But deep down, a flicker of doubt crept in. What Jamal didn't know, what he'd buried under layers of ambition and fake polish, was the epic saga of the woman he'd just crushed. The mom who'd given up everything, her health, her dreams, her life, for him. The sleepless nights, scrubbing floors, the skipped meals to buy his books, the unbreakable love that powered through it all. Soon the internet would explode with it, but for now the church doors closed behind her, sealing the moment that would change everything. Hello everyone, welcome to our story. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Louise hadn't always been stuck in that wheelchair. There was a time when she was strong, walking tall wherever she went. Louise hadn't always been stuck in that wheelchair. There was a time when she was strong, walking tall wherever she went. Back when Jamal was just a kid, Louise was 26, full of fire and grit, the kind that keeps you pushing through the grind. Her husband, Terrence, got killed in a freak car wreck one rainy night. Bam, gone in a flash. 1 minute he's tossing Jamal in the air, laughing that deep belly laugh. The next he's under a sheet at the morgue. Jamal was only 7, sobbing into his pillow every night, calling out for daddy. Louise felt that grief like a brick in her chest, heavy and unyielding. But she couldn't wallow. Her boy needed her, plain and simple. She dove headfirst into survival mode, no time for tears. Days blurred into nights as she juggled 2 jobs. Cleaning fancy houses for uppity folks during the day, then mopping offices till the wee hours. Sleep? Maybe 3 hours if she was lucky, crashing on the lumpy couch with her feet throbbing like they'd been hammered. Can't afford to slack, she'd mutter to herself, splashing cold water on her face at dawn. No new outfits for her. Hell, she patched her own jeans till they were more thread than fabric, so Jamal could rock fresh school uniforms. She'd skip lunch, stomach growling like a caged beast, just to pack extra sandwiches for him. Bus fare? Forget it. She'd hoof it miles to work, blisters popping on her heels, pocketing those quarters for his textbooks. It was brutal, bone-tired exhaustion that clawed at her soul. But every ache felt worth it when she caught Jamal buried in his books, that determined glint in his eyes. She'd drag herself home at midnight, feet screaming, only to find him at the kitchen table, pencil flying across homework. "Mama, look, I aced that math test," he'd beam, and her heart would swell, pushing the fatigue aside. Louise would ruffle his hair, ignoring the calluses on her hands from scrubbing toilets. "That's my smart boy. You're gonna make it big, Jamal. Bigger than this cramped apartment." Mornings kicked off at 4 a.m. sharp. Louise would haul herself out of bed, joints creaking like old floorboards, and fire up the stove. Eggs scrambled cheap, toast burnt just right. Nothing fancy, but it fueled her kid. "Eat up, baby," she'd say, sliding the plate his way while she sipped black coffee. Stomach empty. Then she'd rush out, hitting the first house by sunrise. Those mansions, gleaming prisons of privilege, with marble counters she'd polished till they shone like mirrors. The families, rich white folks mostly, with their BMWs and endless takeout, treated her like furniture. "Clean up this mess, Louise," they'd snap, dropping crumbs without a glance. "No, please, no thank you." One lady even tossed a half-eaten apple at her feet, smirking. Louise bit her tongue, smiling through gritted teeth because complaining didn't pay the bills. But in those quiet moments, wiping down crystal chandeliers, she'd dream. "One day Jamal's gonna live like this," she'd whisper to the empty rooms. "Fancy car, big house, no worries." It kept her going. That vision, her boy breaking the cycle, escaping the hand-me-down life she'd known. "He ain't gonna scrub floors," she'd vow, knees aching on the cold tile. "He's gonna be somebody." Jamal was sharp as a tack, top of his class every year. Teachers raved at parent-teacher nights. "Louise, your son's a star. He's got that fire. Gonna go places." She'd beam, chest puffing with pride, forgetting the hunger pangs from skipping dinner again. All the backbreaking work, the lonely nights. It clicked when she saw his report cards. Worth every damn minute, she'd think, hugging him tight after school. Nights were the real killer. After the houses, she'd clock in at the office building downtown, pushing a mop bucket through endless hallways. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. She'd empty trash cans overflowing with coffee cups and takeout wrappers, the smell of stale food turning her stomach. Co-workers pitied her. "Louise, you look beat. Take a break." She'd wave them off with a tired grin. "Can't. My boy's counting on me." Home by 2 a.m., she'd collapse, only to bolt up 2 hours later for the breakfast routine. Cycle repeat, day in, day out. Holidays? Forget the cheer. Thanksgiving meant extra shifts for overtime, while Jamal ate canned turkey at a neighbor's. Birthdays were thrift store finds wrapped in newspaper. But Louise made it magical, baking lopsided cakes from scratch, singing off-key. "Happy birthday, champ," she'd say, watching his eyes light up over a single candle. Deep down, guilt gnawed at her. He deserves better, but she pushed on, whispering prayers in the dark. "Lord, let him rise above this." The rich families she cleaned for, some were downright nasty. One boss lady yelled over a speck of dust, "Do it right or you're out." Louise swallowed the bile, nodding. "Yes, ma'am." Others ignored her existence, chatting on phones about vacations while she vacuumed around their feet. But she never snapped back. Pride wouldn't feed her kid. Instead, she'd head home, help Jamal with algebra till her eyes crossed. "You got this, baby. Show him what you're made of." Jamal soaked it up, grades soaring. "Mama, I'm gonna be a lawyer. Fight for folks like us," he'd declare, fists pumped. Louise's eyes would mist over. "That's right, and I'll be right there," cheering loudest. Her sacrifices piled up. No doctor visits for her nagging cough. No nights out with friends. Life shrank to work, Jamal. Repeat. But seeing him thrive, pure gold. One evening after a double shift, Louise trudged home under streetlights, feet blistered raw. She pictured Jamal's future, suit and tie, corner office. All this pain's gonna pay off, she told herself, ignoring the rumble in her belly. Little did she know, the real storm was brewing, one that would test her limits even more. The rain hammered down that night like 1,000 fists pounding the city streets, turning everything into a slick, treacherous mess. Louise had just wrapped her late shift at the office building, hauling her cleaning supplies in a beat-up tote bag slung over her shoulder. Her bones ached from the double grind, but her mind raced ahead. Jamal's school fees were due soon, and she needed to scrape together every dime. Puddles splashed under her sneakers as she hustled toward the bus stop. Visibility zero under the dim, flickering streetlights. She stepped off the curb, peering through the downpour, when headlights blinded her. Bright, fast, unstoppable. The car screeched, tires skidding on wet asphalt, but it was too late. Impact hit like a freight train, slamming Louise airborne before she crashed down hard. Pain exploding through her body like fireworks gone wrong. Her legs went numb instantly, a terrifying void where sensation should be. She lay there, rain pelting her face, mixing with blood from a gash on her forehead. "Stop!" she tried to yell, but it came out as a choked gasp. Horns blared, people yelled from sidewalks, and someone was dialing 911. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder, but all Louise could think of was Jamal, home alone, probably nose-deep in homework, wondering why Mama was late. "My boy," she whispered through gritted teeth, clutching at the pavement. "Gotta get to my boy." Paramedics swarmed, lifting her onto a stretcher, voices urgent but calm. "Ma'am, stay with us. You're gonna be okay." Hospital lights blurred overhead as they wheeled her in, doctors barking orders. X-rays, scans, the whole 9 yards. Then the verdict dropped like a bomb, spinal cord shattered, nerves severed clean. "Permanent paralysis from the waist down," the doc said, his face etched with that practiced sympathy. "You'll need a wheelchair for good. No walking, ever." Louise's world spun, panic clawing up her throat. How the hell was she supposed to work? Clean houses? Mop floors? Feed her kid? "But my son," she croaked, voice cracking. "He's all I got left." Jamal burst into the room hours later, eyes red-rimmed from crying, a neighbor trailing behind with a worried frown. He was 12, gangly and scared, gripping the bed rail like it might vanish. "Mama? What happened?" Louise forced a smile, reaching for his hand despite the IV tugging her arm. His fingers trembled in hers, small and warm. "Just a bump in the road, baby. Mama's tough. I'll bounce back." But inside, terror raged, bills piling up, no insurance worth spit, and her body betraying her. Jamal's face crumpled. "The doctor said you can't walk. How are we going to make it?" She squeezed his hand tighter. "We always do. You focus on school. I'll figure the rest." Rehab was hell on wheels, literally. Louise gritted through therapy sessions, sweat pouring as she learned to maneuver the clunky wheelchair they issued her, wheels sticking on linoleum. "Push harder," the therapist urged, but every muscle screamed. Nights, alone in her hospital bed, she'd stare at the ceiling, hot tears tracking down her cheeks. "Can't let him see me break," she'd mutter, wiping them away before visits. Discharge day came too soon. No fancy rehab center for folks like her. Back to the tiny apartment, ramps jury-rigged from scrap wood by neighbors. Work? Forget the old gigs. No more trekking to mansions or lugging mop buckets. Louise adapted fast, no choice. She set up a sewing station at the kitchen table, fingers flying over neighbors' clothes, hemming pants, patching shirts for pocket change. $5 a pop, she'd haggle with a grin, ignoring the twinge in her back. Afternoons, she'd tutor local kids in reading, wheelchair parked by the couch as little ones sprawled with books. "Sound it out, sweetie," she'd coach, her voice patient even as fatigue gnawed. Money trickled in, half what she used to pull, but it covered basics. Rent, ramen, Jamal's bus pass. Jamal stepped up, too young but fierce. He'd wheel her to the corner store, pushing through crowds with a determined scowl. "I got you, Mama." At the hospital that first night, he'd huddled by her bed whispering promises. "When I grow up, I'll take care of you. Big house, no worries. I'll pay you back for everything." Louise ruffled his hair, heart swelling. "Just be good. Study hard. That's all the payback I need." But she saw the fear in his eyes, the way he scanned her lifeless legs like they were a bad dream. Years ticked by, Louise refusing to fold. She'd wheel to PTA meetings, cheering Jamal's awards with whoops that turned heads. "That's my boy!" Scholarships rolled in, his brain shining bright. College acceptance hit like a jackpot, a full ride to a top school. Louise teared up over the letter, hugging him tight. "See? We made it through the storm." Jamal beamed, but a shadow lingered. Guilt over her sacrifices, her chair a constant reminder. On graduation day, cap and gown, Jamal strode across the stage, diploma in hand. Louise clapped from the front row, pride bursting like fireworks. "Look at you, all grown," she said later, wheeling close for a hug. But success changed him quickly. Landed that plum job at the big law firm, suits sharp, paycheck fat. Visits dwindled, from weekly to bi-weekly, then to monthly excuses. "Swamped at work, Mama," he'd text, voice distant on calls. Louise felt the shift, a quiet ache settling in. Her simple life, the patched apartment, wheelchair ramps, embarrassed him now. He'd show up in his flashy car, eyes flicking over the worn furniture. "You should upgrade this place," he'd suggest awkwardly. She'd wave it off with a laugh. "This old spot's fine. Tell me about your fancy office." But inside it stung, her boy pulling away, chasing that shiny world she'd built him for. One call, he mentioned a girl, Tasha, from Money. "She's amazing, Mama," Louise smiled on the phone. "Bring her by sometime." Silence stretched. "Yeah, maybe." But he never did, shame rooted deep. Louise wheeled to her sewing machine that night, needle humming, heart heavy. "He's flying high now," she told herself. "Just don't clip his wings." Jamal hit the ground running after college, snagging a spot at Jenkins and Associates, the powerhouse law firm downtown where sharp suits and seven-figure deals were the norm. He crushed his first cases, out-hustling the vets with late-night briefs and killer arguments that turned judges' heads. Promotions came fast. Associate to senior in record time. Corner office with a view that screamed, "Made it." Paychecks ballooned, letting him ditch the cramped apartment for a sleek condo with granite counters and a doorman who knew his name. "This is the life," he'd mutter, sinking into the leather seats of his new Audi, blasting hip-hop on the drive home. Louise beamed during his rare visits, wheeling around her tiny kitchen to fix his favorite, fried chicken with collards, even if her hands shook from the effort. "Look at you, strutting in here like a big shot," she'd tease, eyes sparkling. Jamal hugged her tight, but his gaze flicked to the peeling wallpaper, the rickety ramp outside. "Yeah, Mama, things are good." Deep down, a twinge hit, shame, bubbling like bad coffee. His new crowd? High rollers? Folks who'd never scraped change for bus fare? He started dodging her calls, blaming back-to-back meetings. Then Tasha walked into his life at a firm gala, all curves and confidence in a red dress that hugged like a promise. Daughter of Marcus Jenkins, the boss man himself, old money, boardrooms, and vacation homes. She laughed at his jokes, eyes locking on his like magnets. "You're different, Jamal. Hungry. Real," she said over champagne flutes. He fell hard, dates turning into weekends at upscale spots, her world swallowing him whole. But questions came. "Tell me about your folks." Jamal's gut twisted. He pictured Louise in her wheelchair, the faded curtains in her place. "Dad passed young. Car wreck," he said, true enough. Tasha nodded sympathetically. "And your mom?" He paused, fork hovering over steak. "She's not around much anymore." Lie slipped out smooth, like he'd rehearsed it. Tasha squeezed his hand. "Family can be complicated. Ours is all about keeping up appearances." Jamal exhaled, relief flooding in. No way he'd drag Tasha to that rundown neighborhood, risk her seeing the truth. Our world, she called it, private jets, galas, deals sealed over golf. He craved fitting in, shedding the old skin like a bad habit. Marcus Jenkins took notice, pulling Jamal into big cases. "Son, you've got that fire. Reminds me of me starting," the boss boomed during a strategy session, clapping his shoulder. Jamal grinned, chest puffing. Dinners at the Jenkins mansion followed, a sprawling estate with pools and art that cost more than cars. Tasha's mom, elegant in pearls, quizzed him. "Family background?" Jamal swallowed hard, lies stacking up. "Solid, folks. Taught me hard work." Marcus nodded approval. Rising above, that's the American dream. But Jamal's mind flashed to Louise, alone in her chair, sewing scraps. Guilt gnawed, but he shoved it down. "This is my shot," he told his reflection, knotting a silk tie. Engagement hit 6 months in, a rock on Tasha's finger that could blind you. Wedding plans exploded. Lavish church, A-list guests, everything screaming status. Jamal dove in, but one thorn stuck. Louise. He imagined her wheeling in, red dress clashing with the designer crowd, questions flying. "Who's that?" Panic surged. 2 weeks out, he drove to her place for the first time in months. Louise lit up at the door, wheeling forward with arms open. "My baby! Come in, come in! Tell me about this girl." Jamal shifted on the sagging couch, avoiding her eyes. The air smelled of fresh-baked cornbread, a comfort he suddenly resented. "Mama, about the wedding." Her face brightened. "Oh, honey, I can't wait. Been sewing this red dress. Your favorite color as a kid. Practicing the ramp up those church steps." She gestured to fabric scraps on the table. Needle still threaded. His stomach knotted. "Mama, I don't think you should come." Louise's smile froze, confusion creasing her brow. "What?" "But I'm your mama. Gotta see my boy say, 'I do.'" Jamal leaned forward, voice low. "It's fancy, Mama. Big shots. Money folks. Marcus's crowd." She tilted her head. "So? I clean up nice." He finally met her gaze, something cold hardening in his. "You don't get it. These people, they live differently. Mansions, jets. You in that chair. This house. It'd embarrass me." Words sliced out, sharp as knives. Louise recoiled, hand fluttering to her chest like she'd been slapped. "Embarrass you? Baby, I'm proud of you. No matter what." Jamal stood, pacing the cramped room, frustration boiling. "I worked my ass off to get here. Can't have you rolling in, making me look like I came from nothing. Her eyes welled, but she held steady. You did come from nothing, and I busted my back so you wouldn't stay there. That's strength, not shame. He shook his head, the door handle cool under his palm. You wouldn't fit. Stay home, it's better. Louise watched him go, wheels creaking as she followed to the window. Tears tracked down her cheeks once his car peeled away. A mama belongs at her son's wedding, she whispered to the empty room, picking up the red fabric again. Needle pricked her finger, but she kept sewing, heart heavy but unbroken. The church doors swung open with a creak, sunlight spilling in like an uninvited guest. And there was Louise, wheeling herself in with quiet determination. Her red dress, hand-stitched and vibrant against the sea of muted designer labels, caught eyes immediately. She smiled softly, navigating the aisle with practiced pushes, ignoring the stares from the polished crowd. Jamal, standing tall at the altar in his crisp tux, locked eyes with her, his face draining of color before twisting into rage. Tasha shifted beside him, her veil fluttering, confusion flickering across her flawless makeup. What the hell are you doing here? Jamal's voice boomed, echoing off the vaulted ceilings, sharp as a courtroom objection. Guests froze mid-conversation, champagne flutes hovering. Louise halted, her wheels squeaking to a stop, hurt flashing in her eyes like a gut punch. Jamal, sweetie, I'm your mama. This is your wedding. I had to see my boy happy. Her voice stayed soft, steady, that maternal warmth cutting through the tension. He stormed down the aisle, footsteps thundering on the marble, fists clenched. I told you to stay away. Volume cranked up, drawing gasps. The crowd, Marcus Jenkins in the front row, brow furrowed, business moguls whispering, Tasha's aunts clutching pearls, leaned in, phones slipping from pockets. Look around. This ain't your scene. These are power players, deal makers. You in that beat-up chair? You're a damn eyesore. He jabbed a finger, voice dripping venom. You're a burden, mama, making me look weak in front of my future. Get out, now! Louise's chest heaved, breath catching like she'd been slapped. Tears brimmed, but she blinked them back, chin lifting with that unbreakable grit. I love you, son, always will. Whispers exploded. His own mom? That's brutal. One guest, a sharp-dressed associate from the firm, hit record on his phone, capturing every flinch, every word. Jamal towered over her, face flushed. You're poor, disabled, don't belong. You're embarrassing me. He waved her off like swatting a fly. She turned the chair slowly, wheels groaning in the hush, rolling back toward the doors. Each push forward carved deeper into her heart, but she kept her posture straight, dignity intact. Phones multiplied, videos rolling, flashes popping. The ceremony, once buzzing with excitement, now reeked of awkward horror. Tasha covered her mouth, eyes wide. Marcus shook his head, jaw tight. Outside, Louise paused in the lot, tears finally spilling as she gripped the arms of her chair. A stranger approached, hesitant. That was wrong, ma'am. Real wrong. She nodded, wiping her face. He's my boy. Still love him. Back inside, vows stumbled forward, but the joy was gutted. Claps sparse, smiles forced. By reception time at the swanky hotel ballroom, crystal chandeliers, filet mignon, live band, the video hit social media. Titled, Heartless Groom Dumps Disabled Mom at Wedding, it spread like wildfire. Views ticked up, 10K, 50K exploding. Comments flooded. What a monster. That poor lady, heartbreaking. Boy needs karma stat. Guests at tables buzzed, phones glowing. You see this? One whispered, passing it around. Jamal laughed off a toast, but his best man pulled him aside. Dude, check your feed, this is bad. Jamal's phone blew up, notifications pinging like machine gun fire. He scrolled, face paling. The clip looped. His rant, Louise's exit, her whispered, I love you. Views hit 100K in hours. Oh shit, he muttered, gut churning. Tasha yanked her phone, eyes narrowing at messages. How could you marry that jerk? Your hubby's viral for being trash. She shot him a glare. What have you done? Honeymoon in the Bahamas kicked off the next day. Beaches, cocktails, but the storm raged online. Video crossed 1 million views, news sites picking it up. Wedding shocker, groom humiliates mom. Radio hosts ranted, this guy's got ice for blood. Jamal lounged by the pool, but Tasha's phone rang nonstop. My dad's furious, she snapped, scrolling comments. Business partners are bailing. Say our family's tainted. Flight home was tense. Silence thick as fog. Airport stares started. That's him, the wedding asshole. Whispers followed to the baggage claim. The car ride was worse. Someone had keyed bad son on his Audi. Reporters swarmed their condo. Jamal, regret kicking out your mom? He shoved through, slamming the door. It'll blow over, he told Tasha, voice shaky. She crossed her arms. Blow over? Dad's calling a meeting tomorrow. Marcus's office loomed next morning, glass walls reflecting Jamal's dread. He sat rigid, suit rumpled. Marcus leaned forward, face thunderous. Seen the video? Over 5 mil views. Clients are jumping ship. Say we can't rep heartless pricks. Jamal stammered. Sir, it was a misunderstanding. She showed up uninvited. Marcus slammed his desk. Your disabled mom? The one who raised you solo? We value family here, boy. You're fired. Pack your shit. Security escorted him out. Co-workers averting eyes, whispers trailing. Knew he was shady. Tasha waited at home, suitcases packed. I'm out, Jamal. Can't stay with a man who'd do that. He pleaded. Baby, please, we just got hitched. She shook her head, tears streaking. You called her a burden. My friends are blasting me. How'd you miss the red flags? Divorce papers incoming. The door slammed, leaving him alone. The echoes ringing. Friends ghosted. Texts unread. Calls to voicemail. Firm partners canceled lunches. Old buddies unfollowed. Jamal scrolled feeds. Comments piling. Hope he rots alone. His rep? Tanked. Job apps bounced back unread. He paced the condo. World crumbling. Shame finally cracking through his denial. Jamal stared at the empty condo. Tasha's perfume still lingering like a ghost. Her suitcases gone along with half the closet. The silence hit like a brick wall. No laughter, no clink of wine glasses, just the hum of the fridge mocking him. He slumped onto the leather couch, phone buzzing with rejection emails from job apps he'd fired off in a panic. Not a fit, one read. Character concerns. Another. His savings? Dwindling fast, rent due in days. This is temporary, he muttered, scrolling feeds where the video mocked him at 8 million views now. Comments like knives. Karma's coming, asshole. Friends? Radio silent. He texted his old crew. Hey, grab a beer? Crickets. Alone, he paced, gut twisting. How'd it crumble so quick? The landlord knocked 2 weeks later, face stone cold. Jamal, rent's late. And folks in the building, they're complaining. That video's got everyone side-eyeing you. Jamal's jaw clenched. Give me time. I'll pay. The guy shook his head. Nah, man. Pack up. 2 days. Door slammed, leaving Jamal scrambling boxes, stuffing suits into garbage bags. Movers hauled his fancy furniture to storage. Keys turned in. He loaded what fit into his Audi, clothes, laptop, a few bucks in cash, and drove off, no destination. Just crash at a motel, he thought, but prices bit hard. Ended up in a Walmart lot, seat reclined, engine off to save gas. Night fell cold, back cramping on leather that once felt luxe. Sleep, fitful, jolted by headlights and nightmares of Louise's face. Mornings blurred, splash face in gas station sinks, cheap coffee burning his tongue. Scrounging drive-through scraps. Job hunts bombed. Interviews started strong. Then, aren't you that guy from the wedding vid? Faces soured. We value family here. Doors shut. Savings dipped below $1,000, forcing ramen packets and skipped meals, stomach growling like an angry dog. He parked in different lots nightly, mall garages, truck stops, dodging cops with flashlights. Move along, buddy. Rain drummed the roof one night, leaking through a crack, soaking his shirt. He shivered, hugging his knees, tears mixing with drips. How'd I end up here? Flashbacks hit. Corner office. Tasha's laugh. Power lunches. Gone. Replaced by hunger pangs and stares from passers-by who recognized him. That's the jerk who dissed his mom, one whispered, phone out for pics. Weeks dragged, body wasting, cheeks hollow, suits hanging loose like clown clothes. He pawned his Rolex for gas money, watched guys sneering, "Viral star, huh? Tough break." Mirror checks scared him. Scruffy beard, bloodshot eyes, a shadow of the hotshot lawyer. Despair clawed deep, a night staring at the ceiling liner, questioning everything. "Everyone's overreacting," he'd growl, but doubt crept in like fog. Applications piled up, 50, 60, rejections stacking. "Unemployable," one HR email spat. Friends? Blocked him. Tasha's lawyer served papers via mail to a P.O. box he scraped for. Irreconcilable differences. He tore it open in the car, fists pounding the wheel. "Screw this!" One afternoon, cruising low on fumes, Jamal spotted her. Louise, wheeling through a corner store lot, basket balanced on her lap. He slammed brakes, heart jackhammering, ducking low to watch. She reached for a high shelf inside, straining, chair tipping slightly. A clerk helped, handing down canned goods with a kind word. Louise smiled, that warm, genuine grin lighting her face despite the worn dress and faded scarf. "Thanks, hun. Appreciate it." Her voice carried faintly through cracked windows, hitting Jamal like a freight train. Memories crashed in waves, her at 4 a.m., scrambling eggs with weary eyes, sliding the plate his way while she nibbled crusts. "Eat up, baby. Big day ahead." He was sick at 7, fever raging, her cool cloths on his forehead, humming lullabies through sleepless nights, her hand never leaving his. "Mama's here always." That bike for his 10th birthday, she'd slaved extra shifts, coming home bone-tired but beaming. "Pedal fast, champ." High school trip? Sold her grandma's necklace? The only heirloom. No complaints. "Go learn the world, son." College grad? Tears streaming as he crossed the stage, she clapped from her chair. "Proudest mama alive." He gripped the wheel, knuckles white, chest heaving. Her accident replayed. Sirens wailing, him rushing to the ER, holding her hand as docs dropped the bomb. "I'll take care of you, mama. Promise." But he'd bailed, chasing shine over substance. Shame flooded hot. How'd he trash the woman who'd starve so he could eat? Worked double shifts till her body broke? Loved him fierce, no strings? Tears blurred his vision as she wheeled out, bagging groceries with that quiet grace. "I threw it all away," he whispered, sobs racking his frame. For what? Fake friends, a wife who bolted, a job that dumped him like yesterday's trash. Louise vanished around the corner, oblivious, but the sight cracked him wide open. Truth slamming home. He'd traded real love for fool's gold. Jamal's hands shook on the wheel as he pulled up across from Louise's modest house, the engine idling like his nerves on overdrive. The place looked the same. Faded blue siding, flower pots blooming defiantly on the porch. That rickety ramp he'd helped build years back. Sun dipped low, casting long shadows, but he sat frozen, heart pounding like a drum solo. "What if she slams the door?" he whispered, wiping sweat from his brow. Memories hammered him. Her sacrifices, his betrayal. Gas gauge blinked empty. Last fumes got him here. No turning back. He killed the engine, stepped out on wobbly legs and crossed the street, each step heavier than the last. Up the ramp, boards creaking underfoot, Jamal paused at the door, fist hovering. Breath ragged, he knocked. Soft at first, then firmer. Inside, wheels rolled across linoleum. "Coming," Louise called, voice warm as ever. The door swung open, and there she was, in her chair, eyes widening at the sight of him. Thin, scruffy, eyes hollow like a ghost. "Jamal," she breathed, hand flying to her mouth. He looked wrecked, wrinkled shirt, unkempt hair, the stink of desperation clinging like cheap cologne. "Mama," he choked out, voice cracking. Tears welled fast, spilling over as he dropped to his knees on the porch, gravel biting through his pants. "I'm so sorry. God, I'm sorry for everything." Sobs racked him, shoulders heaving, face buried in hands. Louise wheeled closer, her own eyes misting, reaching out to touch his head like she did when he was a kid with skinned knees. "Baby, what happened? You look half-starved, Like life's chewed you up. He looked up, eyes pleading. I lost it all, Mama. The job, Tasha, the condo, sleeping in my car, scraping for food. But that's nothing compared to what I did to you. Kicking you out like trash, calling you a burden. I was ashamed of you, of us. Chased that fancy life. Forgot who got me there. Words tumbled out raw, voice hoarse. You gave up everything. Nights without sleep, meals skipped, your legs broken from hustling, and I threw it back in your face. Louise's face softened, pain flickering but love shining through. She cupped his cheek, thumb wiping a tear. Get up, son. Come inside. He hesitated. You hate me, don't you? After the wedding, the video, everyone saw. She shook her head, pulling him into a hug as he rose. Hate you? You're my blood, Jamal. Carried you 9 months, raised you through hell. That day hurt like fire, the worst pain ever. But a mama's love doesn't quit. Blood's thicker than water. Always has been. He followed her in, the familiar smell of home. Fresh bread, faint lavender, hitting like a warm blanket. Walls lined with his old photos, baby pics, graduation, even wedding shots still up. Why keep those? He asked, voice thick. She wheeled to the kitchen, starting coffee. 'Cause it's your life, baby, good and bad. I'm proud of the man you can be. Jamal sank onto the couch, spilling it all. Viral backlash, firing, divorce, homelessness. Louise listened, nodding, heartache in her eyes, but no judgment. You see now? She asked softly, handing him a mug. What I did was wrong, dead wrong. You built me from nothing, and I acted like you were the problem. He gripped the cup, steam rising. Those rich folks, they dropped me like a bad habit when the shine wore off. But you loved me broke, loved me mean. She squeezed his hand. That's family, son. Real wealth ain't in banks. It's here in the heart. Jamal moved in that night, crashing on the old pullout. His first real sleep in weeks. Mornings he helped with breakfast, scrambling eggs like she taught him, wheeling her to the table. Days he fixed the house, patched roof leaks, painted walls fresh white, oiled her chair's squeaky wheels. Looking good, Mama, he'd say, hammer in hand. She laughed. About time you got handy. Job hunt started slow, rejections stung, but one community center bit. Legal aid gig, advising folks on evictions, low pay but honest. The boss eyed him warily. Seen the video, but if you've changed, Jamal nodded. I have. Let me prove it. Months rolled by, Jamal diving into cases, helping single moms fight landlords like Louise once did. Evenings, they'd sit on the porch, him pushing her swing gently, sharing stories. Remember that bike? She'd tease. He'd grin. How could I forget? You slaved for it. Gratitude swelled daily, replacing old shame. He skipped fancy suits for jeans, traded Audi for a beater, but peace settled deep, no more chasing ghosts. Louise thrived too, her boy's care lifting spirits, laughs echoing louder. You're home now, she'd say, hugging him goodnight. Jamal finally got it. True riches, her unwavering love and family bonds are unbreakable. From rock bottom to rebuilt, he lived simple, grateful, happiest he'd ever been. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed creating it. Like, share, and comment on the lessons you've learned. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. See you at my next. In the end, folks, Jamal's story hits hard. True success isn't measured by fat paychecks or flashy status. It's rooted in gratitude for the unbreakable love and sacrifices of family, especially a mother's unwavering heart that pulls you through the toughest storms. What about you? When was the last time you paused to honor the quiet battles your loved ones fought for you, and how has that shaped who you are today? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories and spark some real talk down there. Stick around for our next video, where we'll unpack another raw tale of betrayal turning into a breakthrough, packed with twists that'll keep you glued. Thanks from the bottom of my heart for watching and being part of this journey. Your likes and shares keep the stories coming. Catch you in the next one.